was maybe 2 years old when I first touched a soccer ball, but actually 6 years old when I actually played for a team, a rec team. And then I realized I really liked it and enjoyed it and wanted to take it to the next level. So I played for a club team called Thistle Thunder. Growing up in Kearney, New Jersey, also known as Soccertown, USA, soccer is a big part of everyone's lives here. Seeing everyone play soccer really inspired me and made me want to try it out, and I ended up really liking it and wanting to take it to the next level and play club.
My first travel soccer team is and will always have a huge impact on me because my first real teammates and my first real coaches that taught me the true game of soccer.
Growing up with two older sisters who played soccer really shaped me into the player I am today. They taught me so much, like discipline, sportsmanship, and a strong mentality when playing sports.
Me and my dad have a special bond because he was my first head coach of my travel team. Having him as a coach, he always pushed me and believed in me on and off the field.
In August of 2022, high school preseason was starting. I was eager and looking forward to playing soccer at a higher level and for all the opportunities that were going to come.
First, I made the roster for JV. We had successful wins and made great achievements. Then, in the middle of the season, I got brought up to varsity.
When I got brought up to varsity, I knew it was going to be a lot more challenging and competitive, and I knew I was going to have to push myself. When I got brought up, it was time for the more serious games like counties and states. On November 1st, 2022, we had our state semis against Ridgewood. Stepping on the field, we all had nerves and were very anxious about this game. In the first 20 minutes of the game, it was already 2-1 and emotions were high within each player.
We were in their half of the field. I saw the ball and the opponent coming towards me. I planted my foot didn't move, and my knee twisted.
After the Ridgewood game, I was scared, confused, and in pain. And I was also angry that we lost, so I was crying. A few days later, we made a doctor's appointment for an orthopedic. Walking into that doctor's office, I had no clue what was going to happen with my soccer career. I was more worried about soccer, but also confused and scared. He took my dad out for a conversation in the hallway, and that's when I thought that there was a problem. And he never really gave me a clear answer until I got an MRI. But then in the car, my dad was talking to me and basically implying that I did tear my ACL. But he never really said it, so I figured myself that I tore my ACL. On the way home after that doctor's appointment, I knew that there was a long road of recovery ahead of me, and I was already preparing myself for the mental and physical challenges that I was about to face.
I knew that it was a highly competitive sport. I didn't know the rules. I played football, so I didn't pay much attention to soccer because it was during the same season. And my initial thought was being a football coach and playing football, being around football, is that they should all be cheerleaders. And then all of a sudden they all started playing rec soccer and were really good and very fast and physical, and I began to start liking the game. Initially, I was not sure how good of a soccer player Ava would be, but I wasn't surprised. She had both her older sister Caitlin and her older sister Carly's abilities. Carly was faster, more skilled. Caitlin was a more physical, more defensive. And Ava had both of their qualities and played at a seriously high level. So Ava was playing in the semifinals against Ridgewood, and in Ava's soccer career, very, very rarely did she ever get injured. There was many times that she had contact and fell, but jumped right up. The game against Ridgewood, she didn't get up right away, and immediately I knew that it was something serious. I initially thought it was she banged her head, and then I realized that the trainer was holding her knee, and I thought the worst. and so did Ava once I spoke to her. Once the MRI results came back and it was determined that Ava had had a full tear on her ACL, we all knew as a family, as a group, the long road to recovery. But I knew 100% that Ava was going to do everything it took to get back to being 100%.
Being at that doctor's appointment scheduling my surgery, I was really nervous and I was upset about the pain that I was going to feel during surgery and after. But I knew I had to go through the motions and do what I needed to do to get back to playing soccer and fully healed. My surgery was on Friday, December 2nd at 6 a.m. After surgery, I was kind of out of it because of the meds that I was given, but later on when the meds wore off at home, I was really feeling a lot of pain, and there were a lot of tears, and I wasn't sure if I could mentally and physically go through with it. Seeing my sister go through the same thing as I did at a young age made me realize that I can get through it too, just like she did, and I'll have the same support system that she did too. That Monday, 2 days after my surgery, I had to start PT, and I really didn't want it because I was in a lot of pain, and the exercises they were making me do did not help the pain at all. The first day they had me do an evaluation so they can keep track of my progress, and also had me doing leg lifts, walking, the bike, and quad muscle exercises. The first couple weeks of PT were really dreadful and frustrating because they were pushing me a lot and I couldn't do a lot of the things they were asking me to do. At first they had me going 3 times a week, which was a lot for me, but I knew I had to do what I had to do to get through the first stages of PT.
So we knew right away, based from when my oldest daughter Caitlin had tore her ACL, that surgery is going to be on a Friday morning, and by Monday, the doctor is going to want her rehabbing, bending, certain percentages of bending, 3 days a week for 6 weeks. Then it becomes even stronger after the 6 weeks. Then you have to work on some strength and conditioning, and it was 6 or 7 months of full hardcore training, and I knew 100% Ava was all in.
In the middle of my recovery, my cousin Daniela tore her ACL around the same time as me, so we were doing rehab together. It was good to have someone who was so close to me go through the same thing as me at the same time. Going through recovery was a really big struggle because some days I didn't want to do anything and I wasn't sure I wanted to do it anymore, and some days I was really motivated to get back on the field. One of the struggles I faced was getting an infection in my scar, which delayed me getting cleared on time, and that discouraged me a lot because I couldn't do PT for 3 weeks. Soccer was a good outlet for me, so not having that made me push harder. Towards the middle and the end of my recovery, I saw myself getting more strong and more confident, which made PT a lot easier and more enjoyable, and I knew I was getting closer and closer to my goal. What helped me through my 6 to 9 month recovery period was my family taking part in taking me back and forth to PT and helping me through the ups and downs in my mental and physical state. When my clearance day was getting closer, I realized that I was getting a lot more anxious and excited than I thought I would be. Realizing that my clearance day was so soon, I wanted to make sure that I was in the right mental state to step on that field again.
Once the 9-month mark, Ava was itching. She was actually crying after watching her teams train and not being able to train. She can run, but she can do touches. We were ready to go. After the 9-month mark, she played her first game against North Bergen, and it was pretty exciting for all of us.
I started getting overwhelmed and anxious about all the emotions I was feeling, knowing I was going to play again. I was preparing mentally by trying to stay positive and not being afraid of anything because I've been waiting so long for the day that I get back to playing. In October, I had a doctor's appointment, and knowing I could possibly get cleared at that appointment, there was a lot going through my head. The doctor said that I was cleared. I was more than ready and excited because I've been waiting such a long time. I got cleared in the middle of soccer season, so my first week back, I jumped into soccer practice. I practiced for a week before going into a game, and stepping onto the field felt like a breath of fresh air, and it was very exhilarating. My first game back was against North Bergen. On the bus ride there, I had the jitters, and while warming up, the nerves started to get to me, and I couldn't wait for that whistle to blow. Finally getting back on the field and playing was such a good feeling because it felt so normal to me. Even though it was raining, nothing could bother me because I was back and playing soccer. In my second game back against Fairfield, I scored my first goal after 11 months of working so hard to get back to playing. When I scored, the amount of emotions I felt was unreal. I felt accomplished because this is what I've worked so hard for. Overall, this was a crazy journey, but I wouldn't have done it without my support system, and now I'm back to playing soccer and feeling better than ever. My advice to anyone else going through something like this is to keep your head up and don't give up. The end result is worth the work you put in.
Fight for what we believe in. That's what